welcome to the Avid Knits podcast. My name is Sarah. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry both as Avid Knits. Today is July 16th. I think it's Thursday. And it is 11 billion degrees outside. We're in the mid to upper 90s. We've had triple degree days for the last week, and it sucks, and I am over it. And anytime fall wants to show up, I would be down. So, give me back my coffee. I'm just going to sit here and hang on to that. So the one good thing about the heat is that it really illustrates that science is correct and that viruses don't vanish when it's hot. So I think it's always nice to leave things cut and dried so that there's no more argument space. That's always a good thing. Let's see. Other than that, I guess there's really not much to report going on around here. We are obviously still dealing with COVID like everybody else on the planet. Houston is in a state of everybody will mask, end of story, do it. The rest of Texas does not seem to be following that mandate. Unfortunately, it also seems that Houston has not pulled up its big person pants and said, we're not going back to school in the fall. I don't know if they're going to delay openings or what, but from what my sister-in-law tells me, they apparently are still planning on having kids go back to school. And because of that, she's going to homeschool with my niece, actually, so we were having a conversation about homeschooling. For any of you who are new, hi, there are a lot of you. If you want the full rundown introduction, you can look at my first episode. That's where everything will be. But for those of you who don't know, I homeschool my child all the time. And we kind of do a year-round school because I like to be flexible. I like to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And we like to travel a lot. So it's really great not having a school district to respond to or to have to answer to. And not having to worry about that kind of stuff. So like I said, if any of you are curious, you can go back to my very first episode. It will tell you quite a bit more about my backstory. Other than that, hi, it's nice to have you here. Thanks for coming. What about y'all? Tell me about you. Like, just right now, write me something in the comments. Tell me about you and how everything's going for you. I feel like we're all kind of starting to hit a point of burnout. I know that we've all been sick of it for quite a while, but the lack of actual directive from the federal government versus the state government versus the city government versus what everybody around you has chosen to not do in their infinite wisdom is really frustrating. And I find that I feel like that's more draining than it was when we were just all across the board, we're going to lock down. You know, a lot of the lockdown restrictions that were lifted were meant to ease the strain so that people could get back to work. The economy could kind of start up a little bit again. You know, us reopening was meant to be a good thing, you know, positive move. A move to ease some of the strain off of people who weren't working or who had responsibilities to attend to or whatever outside of their homes, or, you know, to be able to kind of get back into, maybe not the full swing because we knew that COVID was going to be a long-term thing, but those strains that you find yourself under whenever you're under complete lockdown, you know, small businesses especially, you know, everybody was closed. And I find that in my area, at least, and I'm going to give Houston props. I mean, I'll say that we're definitely not the rest of Texas. I will give us that. But I will have to say that I think that reopening has almost caused more problems than it solved. I definitely think we kind of reopened a little bit too early, especially the states that did it. The states that reopened first, we have some really, really major hubs, some really big cities. And our populations tend to be a little bit high. And it's... You guys remember Men in Black? Remember when Tommy Lee Jones told Will Smith that the person was smart, but people are stupid? I think that's like the best advice anybody could ever. It's like one of the most accurate lines that film has ever bothered to come out with. Yeah, it's been, and then like I said, there's not really any firm guidance. So Harris County is masks all the time, but you can drive 20 minutes out of my house and you can hit a different county and then not have to wear a mask at all, and there is no social distancing because their populations are lower, which is nice and all, but I don't think that those boundaries really matter anymore. I feel like my city at least, my state at least, like we all tend to travel in between cities, so you're getting a lot of... I am so sorry. I am so tired today. Anyway, you're getting a lot of crossover. My husband and I, when we're on lockdown, like I said, we travel a lot. We have a really hard time, not a terrible time, staying at home by any stretch, but whenever you get super stressed out and you can't anymore, we just get in the car and we'll drive, it's just us in a car, like we're not touching anybody or interfering with anybody, and then when we're done with our drive, we come home. And, we cross through some of these smaller towns and there's people everywhere. There's people on motorcycles are out because the weather is nice. There's people who are heading for the river to go, tubing. Truck stops are full. People are taking breaks. We in Texas have a monstrosity, have a thing. I don't know anybody else has it. It's called Buc-ee's. And it basically is like the utopia of gas stations. So, it's huge. It's absolutely massive. It's like a Walmart supercenter, but it's a gas station. And I don't know how to describe it. Like, you would have to come and you would have to see it. Like, it's a lot like a Walmart. Like, there's clothes and souvenirs and trinkets and stuff. And then there's an island in the middle and they make homemade barbecue in-house. They dry their own jerky. They do their own snacks. They make their own pralines. They have their own line of foodstuffs. There's the 40-foot fountain drink counter. There's coffee. There's their thing that it's really silly to say on a camera, but their thing that they're known for is their restrooms. There's constantly somebody in there cleaning restrooms, and there's a gazillion stalls, and they're not like the little rinky-dink stalls, like they're actual inset rooms, and the door goes floor to ceiling so that you actually have privacy, which is pretty cool. Everything is always stocked. That's their claim to fame. And then you come, and then in the center they have the big hand wash station and everything. I'm not gonna lie to you, they're really nice when you're traveling, especially when you've got kids, because you always end up with you always end up in those restrooms. Those of you, women with children, men with children, people who travel with children, y'all know what I'm talking about on this. You walk into a rinky-dink little gas station, and there's stuff all over the floor, and it's sticky, and you don't really want to touch anything, and there is 3 stalls. One has an out of order sign on it, one is little, and one is huge, and the handicap one is where the changing table is, inevitably, if there is one, if it's still on the wall even, and there's always somebody else in that one, so you have to stand there with your kid, and you don't have any room, they're super tiny, so you have the stroller, or you have your bag, or whatever it is that you took with you. Okay, well, Buc-ee's alleviates all of that. You don't have that problem. There are 3 different child changing areas. Anyway, this is not the Buc-ee's podcast. I am not sponsored. So anyway, all of that, you pass by a Buc-ee's, and I mean, like I said, it's massive. Anyway, there are a million fuel pumps. It is on a scale that most people don't see. So Google it if you can. It's Buccees, and it has a beaver head as the mascot. So Buc-ee the beaver. And but on your way out, they sell fire pits. Oh my God. Anyway, not the Buc-ee's podcast. My point of this is that they've been slammed. They've been absolutely slammed, people driving through. Hill country in the summer is really pretty. We're 70 miles from the beach. So, as people are just stir crazy. People are just antsy. So anyway, we've done a couple of drives to shake up the scenery, relieve the monotony just a little bit, Which is what we would do if it wasn't COVID. We would just probably go eat someplace, or, go do something. We would go do something in the neighboring city, and then we would come back. Whereas right now we're just driving. So anyway, that was a lot. I don't really know what the point of that was. Oh, I guess my point of it is that stay home. Wear your mask, wash your hands, don't touch your face. We are nowhere near it. We're nowhere near the end of this. When we have a vaccine, then people can start talking. But until then, we're just going to pass it around to each other. And you guys, I know that you're getting mixed news. I know you're getting mixed ideas from the government. I know that everything is, some people are trying to villainize it and some people are trying to say, no, it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. It is a very, very big deal. We have a very high death rate, and people say, oh, well, it's just X point. Betsy DeVos and her, only 0.02%. That's still almost 20,000 people, you guys. Like, that's a lot. That's insanity. There was a thing that somebody posted on Twitter. I'll have to get the name. I'll put it here if I can find it. And they were saying that the American government hasn't cared about your children, or didn't care about a group of 6-year-olds who was murdered in their classroom screaming for their lives. They're not going to care about your kid getting COVID in school. And I thought that was really telling, because it's true. We're one of the only countries in the world that doesn't have gun laws. And I'm not here to debate the Second Amendment with you. I'm not. I think we can all agree that school shootings have been a serious problem for our country over the last 10, 15 years, and we seem to be the only country that doesn't do anything about it, Not everybody has the ability to homeschool. Not everybody has the financial ability, the stability, the capacity, the mental space to whatever, And I think that was something that was really validated whenever schools closed down in the spring, was that it's not for everybody. It's very hard. Especially on that kind of a scale. And, educators are being asked for ridiculous things, for superhuman things, and they're being paid at barely above poverty level. So, anyway, as ever, every podcast, if you're new, I urge you to educate yourself, do your own research. Don't listen to me. Take my idea and go Google it and see what you can find. Okay, don't listen to me. Do your own work. And that goes for anybody and anything. I don't care who's on that TV and how many degrees they got after their name. Go look. This is how the anti-vax thinks it. Don't get me started. Anyway, please do your own research. Usually there's a really quick, fast way to find out who supports what and who thinks what, and how to contact your legislation if you need to. Please write. Take 10 minutes out of your day. You can easily Google, for instance, not having schools reopen. You can easily Google a template that you can copy and paste into your email, change your legislator's name, change your name on the sign-off, add whatever thoughts you want to, and it will take you a literal 5 minutes, and then your voice can be added. And that's anything. So please remember that politics don't start with 45. That's where they're supposed to end. Everything from the ground, you build from the ground up. So, yeah, research. And please make your voice heard, because that is your right as an American, and it is your duty as a citizen, and it is your privilege as a fellow human being to be able to affect change. So, all right, now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to hang on to this. I'm just not going to let it go today. I woke up this morning and I went and I did my workout, and I hated every minute of it. And let's be real. And then I went and I got in the shower, and I got out of the shower, and all I wanted to do was go to bed. And that was at 9:40 this morning. I'm pretty sure it's almost 2. I have been intending to podcast since the moment I got out of that shower. And yeah, hi. So I'm here. I'm a little tired. I'm really tired. So please excuse me if this is not like the best podcast I've ever had. But I showed up, you guys. Okay, the eagle-eyed among you will have seen, no, if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen it. I did a photo shoot, because I'm professional now or something, super profesh. My husband had his cell phone, and it was 96 degrees outside, and I took pictures in this sweater, because I'm a masochist. Anyway, Okay, real talk, again, for new people who are here, I sample knit for dyers, designers, yarn stores, etc., whatever. And so, because my knitting is my calling card, my business card, basically, your photographs are relatively important. When you're asked to sample knit, you are usually asked, or even test knitting, you're usually asked to provide pictures so that people can see how it fits different bodies, what modifications you made, how your yarn played with whatever the pattern was. And I don't suck at pictures. But I will rarely have a camera. I am never behind the camera. I'm never in front of the camera. I just don't really care for them. The podcast is the one exception. And even this is a labor of love. Like, I definitely have to remind myself that, oh yeah, I'm going to do that today. Otherwise, weeks will go by before I'm like, oh yeah, I wanted to do that. I had a point to this. Oh, my finished object. Yeah, sorry. Anyway, so you guys have seen this several times. This is the Siren sweater by Annie Haas. She is This Bird Knits, so this.bird.knits on Instagram. This is her Siren sweater. It is knit out of Lambstrings Tralala sock in her April Gothic colorway of the month, the Plague Doctor. And the contrasting gold is Sweet Sparrow yarns in her Gosling base, which is a merino cashmere silk. And it is her Mabon colorway, and I've been getting this wrong. It's not Mayday, that's Beltane. I don't know why none of you have corrected me. None of you, and Julie herself, none of you have corrected me over this. I said it wrong like 4 weeks in a row. Mabon is the harvest day, so it's I can't remember what holiday it's based after. Anyway, it's a harvest day, a harvest holiday. So this is probably from fall of last year. Anyway, it's absolutely gorgeous, and I love every minute of it. I made a couple of modifications. One of them is that your armhole separation is not supposed to start until after this chart right here, so it's supposed to be more of a poncho. I didn't want that. I wanted a nice fitted sweater, so I moved it up above this band here. And then I just kept knitting. Yeah, that was really stupid. If I move the sleeve separation up, then that chart can't be on the sleeves. Right, guys? Right? Anyway, this chart here is supposed to be on your sleeves too, because all of this is supposed to be one thing. So you could tell this would be a super low. That's the middle of my bicep for the armhole. And then it would be kind of like swancho, poncho kind of thingy. And like I said, I didn't want that, so I moved it up. And I have this really nice fitted sweater. I added a little bit of waist shaping on the sides. I have an hourglass figure, so I thought that I would like a shirt that would kind of accent that, and I could wear this to nice things this winter, nice family functions or whatever. Not that we'll get any this winter, but in the winter. And then I think that that's it. I think that the sleeves are pretty much, the sleeves are short. They're about 3/4. But I'm pretty sure they're the same circumference all the way down and then kind of bubbled at the end. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, the sleeve, I altered the sleeve because I wanted a fitted 3/4 sleeve length. And yeah, that's my Siren sweater. I absolutely love it. The color is absolutely stunning. Shanna from Lambstrings really outdid herself. This is it comes off as gray, it comes off as pretty tonal and kind of monochromatic. It is not. There are, I don't even think I can show it to you, but I will try. And so if there's nothing here and it's just a big block out or something, well, you'll know that I failed. There's a plethora of different colors up inside of the stitches. Whenever you're knitting, almost every stitch is a different color, and it just gives off this appearance of being really tonal and really beautiful, and I absolutely love it. So I will definitely be a repeat customer, and I can highly recommend the yarn. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I have to say about that one. So we did photo shoot it. We drove out to a park that I had never been to. My husband knew of. He's lived here a lot longer than I have. my husband knew of, and so they have a big white gazebo overlooking a pond. It's really pretty. So we did a couple of pictures in the gazebo, and then we drove out just on a drive and past, it's a little picnic area on the end side of the highway going out towards Austin. So 290 is a state highway, so it's not an interstate. It's not a big highway. It's a little 2-lane highway. And yeah, there's a little picnic area with a creek next to it or whatever, and we went down there and we did a couple of pictures there, and I think those turned out really pretty. It was hot. Gosh, it was hot, you guys. It was terrible. But I did it. I did it for the gram or whatever. So yeah, I did that. All of that traveling netted me a second FO. These are their pattern. This is my sock recipe. They're a shorty sock recipe based off of the Rose City Rollers by Mara Catherine Bryner, who is Orange Knits on Instagram. This is Defense Against the Dark Arts on the Trusty base by Nomadic Yarns. It is a 75-25, I think. So I've had to change my sock recipe a little bit. Ashley's base is really squishy, and so I was having some, well, that one looks much neater. I wonder what I did different. Sorry, Kitchener. Anyway, Ashley has really squishy bases. So I was finding that the top of my foot, it was stretching just a little bit more than I wanted. It wasn't like gaping or anything, but I just thought I would add in a couple stitches. So I cast on with 64 on a size 0, and then I do 10 rounds of stockinette. I use a German twisted cast on. I do 10 rounds of stockinette. I do a slip stitch heel, and as I'm decreasing for the heel, I leave 32 stitches on the top of my foot, and I go down to 30 for the bottom. So then I have 62 stitches on the needles, which is fine until I get to the Kitchener, and then I have to add one more round so that I can get that last set on the top of my toe decrease, so that I have an even number to Kitchener. I use anatomical toes. This is a relatively new thing for me. They're super, super simple. You can find instructions for them online. Like for free. They're super easy. Basically, you decrease, you pick which side you want for right or left foot or whatever. So then on your little toe side, you decrease every other row for 6 decreases, and you don't decrease it all on the big toe side. And then after those 6 decreases are done, so it's 12 rows or 14 rows, however long your foot is or whatever, then you decrease every row on both the big toe and the little toe, and you come up here. I have a size 9, women's 9 foot, 9.5 or so. Anyway, my foot is 10 inches long. I knit my socks until they're 8.25, and then I do my toes, and they are snug enough to be just enough negative ease for me, but they're not tight by any stretch. So then I don't have to worry about wearing holes in them because they were too tight. And I don't wear my socks inside my shoes. It's honestly, if I'm wearing, I mean, I guess I do every now and then, but not for running or anything like that. You know, like if we're going to go out to eat or if we're going to go run like one errand, maybe I might. But if we're going to be gone all day, I'll put on commercial socks. So yeah, those are my 2 FOs. I have not had a chance to cast on a new sock for car knitting yet. I was thinking about that today, but I am all out. I have a couple of self-stripings, I guess, but I just not really excited about any of them. I don't know. I really love Ashley's yarn, and so the idea of making self-striping socks with somebody else's yarn is just kind of like, oh, okay. I have a bunch of leftovers that I should get through. So I will probably just start making socks out of leftovers that I have. I don't know if designers are super overly generous in their yarn yarn estimates, or what, but I almost always have a massive amount of leftovers. Well, this Felia is a really good example. It's this gray sweater right here. I had 1,500 yards of a fingering weight wool, and I don't remember how much I was supposed to use, but I should have only had like 300 yards left over or something like that. I'm pretty sure I have almost a full skein left. So it means I only used roughly 1,100 yards or something like that, or, anyway, it feels like there should have been less leftovers. And I find that with almost all of my projects, I buy what's recommended, and then I'll either have like an entire skein left over or the majority of more than one skein or a skein. Does anybody else have that problem, or do you tend to be one of those people who plays yarn chicken? I don't think I've ever played yarn chicken. I did on my Ripple crop top, but seeing now how it fits, I could have modified the way that it fit so that I would wear it more. I don't wear it. I'm going to have to do some surgery on it. Anyway, but had I realized how it fit, I guess is what I'm trying to say, I would have modified it, and then I would have had yarn left over. So it would have been fine. I wouldn't have had yarn left over. Anybody who's been around for a while, I knit that out of Life in the Long Grass Cantaloupe, and I had cap sleeves that I ended up doing in an alternate color because I ran out of yarn. But had I not knit the yoke so deep, which is why I don't wear it, the V-neck's way too low. But had I not knit that so much, I would have had leftovers, and then I probably would have just had to bind off in the contrast color maybe, but I probably would have had yarn for the cap sleeves. So, yeah. Anyway, next I think we'll get into whips. I have a few of those on the go. I'm trying to think about where I want to start. Let's start with the raffle sweater. That is in this bag. This is Fat Squirrel Fibers. She is Amy Beth, and she also has the Fat Squirrel Speaks podcast. Huge fan. Go watch her. In here is my Quiet Stars cardigan. I don't know why I showed you that. That's just words. I don't even think I have a picture of the cardigan on here. I don't even think I printed one. I didn't. It's in here. Ta-da. The Quiet Stars cardigan is a pattern by Locatelli, and it was the pattern choice. My very first sweater raffle featured Julie of Sweet Sparrow Yarns and Locatelli, and the winner of that raffle got to choose a sweater design of their choice and yarn of their choice, and Elise chose the Quiet Stars cardigan, which was what was just pictured, and she chose to have it knit in Evergreen by Sweet Sparrow Knits. And so this is Evergreen. It's on the Gosling base, which is a merino cashmere nylon. It's really beautiful and so much fun to work with. And this is the beginning of it. So this is the collar. And so you have the left and the right of the collar, and it's lace. So the collar will come this way, I'm assuming. I don't knit a lot of cardigans. I don't wear them. So, my construction, how that works is, I find cardigans are very fun. Anyway, this is the left and right collar, and so that's this piece right here. I put this on Instagram and asked people if they thought it was a butterfly or a sea cucumber, and sea cucumber was the winner. And then I started working down the back, and I didn't bother putting up one of those quizzes because I just didn't. So I am now on the back. This is the textured portion of the cardigan. I think it just goes over the back shoulder. To be honest, I don't really know. I didn't really read too far through the pattern. It's kind of a surprise. So it'll be a surprise for both of us. On here I have my little moosey progress keeper. He's missing a horn. This is from the Angora Moose on Etsy. She's really pretty little notions. She has pretty notions, and she has needle minders and other stuff like that too. So this is the beginning of that. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a super pretty sweater. And it should work out pretty quickly. The lace is super simple. Hohi is the queen of a very striking lace pattern that is just super memorizable. Hohi is the queen of really striking lace patterns that are super, super intuitive. So I think it's like a 6-row repeat, and maybe only 2 of them have lace. The other ones are just knits and purls. So that's a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to get to work on that. So yay! It's the first time I've talked about it. I haven't even mentioned it on Instagram other than the sea cucumber thing. And then the other work in progress that I have right now is a commission, and I am knitting this for Jamie Hoffman of Knitosophy, and I've done a couple of Jamie's patterns. Longtime viewers will remember the swallowtail with the butterfly on the front that I did for Farmer's Daughter Fibers. So that's her pattern as well. It's a tiny bit bunched up on the needles, so I'm trying to make it flat so it'll stop rolling and you can maybe see some of this pretty pattern. Okay, oh my goodness. This is the Rattlesnake Tee by Jamie Hoffman. It is a DK yoked t-shirt. This is Neighborhood Fiber Company Studio DK, which is absolutely amazing. If you've never used Neighborhood Fiber Company, I highly, highly suggest it. It is a company based in Baltimore. It is Black woman owned, and the product that she delivers is absolutely phenomenal. There is not a DK that I like. Not a DK. There is, yeah, I guess a DK. I've never used any of their fingering. I'm sure it's amazing. Their worsted and DKs are phenomenal. And it's my favorite one. So I have, this is 100% superwash merino, 275 yards per 4 ounces, which is pretty generous for a DK. So this is, I think, I don't know. I don't knit in DK very often, so I'm probably lying. Watch, there's like DK skeins out there that have like 380 or something, and I'm over here talking about 280 is great. Anyway, this is Edgewood. The gray is Ernest Shaw, and then the orange is Oaklee. So right here we have a little bit of color work, and then we have wrapped stitches to make it look like rattlesnake tails, like rattlesnake rattles. They're super, super simple, and they're just really cute and effective. And I actually didn't realize they were supposed to be rattlesnake rattles until literally the second while I was talking. I was like, oh, that looks really cool. Anyway, I have my full moon. Sorry, that totally didn't work. I want to say it's the Worm Moon stitch marker from Sucre Miniatures, or Progress Keeper, I mean, from Sucre Miniatures. It does glow in the dark. It's super cool. So yeah, give me a second. I will get you all of the skeins so you can see them side by side, because they're pretty cool. I finally finished all of the 3-color work. So I'm only on the 2. It's really well written. It has 3 colors stranded across the top, but in the rows that you're using 3 colors, you are only using like 2 at a time. Like you'll do a chunk of one, and then a chunk of another, and a chunk of the third, but they don't 1, 2, 3 right side by side. Does that make sense? So really the thing that's hard, the difficult thing about it is trying to make sure that you carry your floats correctly. But that's just, I just knit slower and it helps. So this is Ernest Shaw, Edgewood, and Oaklee all together. And then these 3 are actually, after the yoke, the body is knit in a 4th color, and that is this one, and it is called Rosemont. So these are all of the colors together. So yeah, I think it's a really great pattern. It's really versatile. Jamie writes really well. I like the fact that you could turn around and do this in 2 colors and it would still be striking. You know, so anyway, yeah, that's going on, and I'm really enjoying it. So hopefully I will have a lot more progress to share with you next week. This is my swatch. I did it out of Oaklee because it was one of the colors that used the least of, and I wanted to see the orange knit up. Let's just be real. I wanted to see what the orange looked like. So this is my swatch. So there's everything from peaches to russets to flat out oranges in here. There's some pink in here. This is a really beautiful color. And I have to admit to you that it made me kind of sad with the color work because you weren't getting some of this. But now that I flipped into the yoke, the top of it is the teal, and then you have the gray, and then you were only getting the little pops of orange, so you weren't getting any of this. It almost, to me, felt like all you were ever getting was these really light pops and these really light colors. But I have now dropped the gray, and it will just be the orange and the teal until I hit the main body. So I'm going to get to see a lot more of the color play in this skein, and I'm really excited about that. It's really beautiful. I got the box of yarn from Jamie, and I picked up my phone to send her a picture because it kind of had a hole in the corner, and I was like, aw, put shipping and stuff, I was like, well, I mean, hey, it made it, but then I realized that there was a card in it, so I was reading the card, like, right before I took the picture. I just read the card real quick, and she says, I like to reuse boxes for mailing, but one of my cats chewed on the corner of this one a little, and I was like, oh, well, then I guess it wasn't the shipping problem. So that was really cute. But yeah, everything arrived safe and sound. Everything was fun. So I've got that on the needles. That's going really well. Both projects are going really well. I don't at the moment have anything on for me. I don't know. I have the Cullum Tee. I'll show you. I'll just remind you what it... Sorry, a little sore. I'll remind you what it looks like, but I don't know if I'm gonna... I don't know. I'm not in love, and I haven't been. This is the Cullum Tee. This is Farmer's Daughter Fiber squish worsted. Jeez. I don't knit in worsted unless I have to, okay, guys? I don't choose worsted typically. It's rare. I have one worsted sweater on the needles right now, and that's probably the first one I've ever made for me. Yes, the first one ever. Okay. You don't care. So tired. This is the Cullum sweater. It is a Quince Co pattern. This yarn is Farmer's Daughter Fiber Squish Fingering in Are You Sure Hank Done It That Way? And the Cullum has a lace panel on the front, and then the back is plain, and they are done in panels and then seamed together. I'm going to do the lace panel on the front and the back, and then whenever I get to the armholes, I'm going to knit it around because I'm lazy, and that's just who I am. I don't want to seam it. It's just supposed to be a summer tee. But, I think it's kind of like having, book or movie hangover, you get done with a story, or you get done with a knit, and you enjoyed every bit of it so much that when it ended, you were kind of like, oh, now what? And that's kind of where I am. I'm having Siren knit hangover. So, Annie Haas has another one called Nirvana that's an all-over color work that I would kind of like to use. I have some tweed fingering from Sweet Sparrow that I would kind of like to use for that, I think. But you've seen, I've got a couple things on the needles, so I don't really have the freedom at the moment to deviate, oh my gosh, and invest a bunch of time in a sweater for me right now. So I'm going to hold off on that for a little bit. Get one of these off the needles first, and then I'll add it back. And I also, like I said, I have two sweaters on the needles. I have this t-shirt, I have my husband's sweater, and then I have my worsted cable sweater. I haven't touched either one of those in months. It's really hot. I just want mindless and quick, and that's something that Superwash affords me. I'm a lot faster of a knitter with Superwash than I am with woolen spun or rustic wools. So a couple of my husband's coworkers decided that it was a good idea to host family barbecues and go out of town, and so a couple of them came back from a long weekend, and they both popped positive for COVID. So since they weren't in the shop didn't shut down or anything, and the whole staff wasn't required to get tested or anything like that. But a lot of them did. Some of the coworkers some of my husband's coworkers are close friends too, so they see each other quite a bit. So all of them went and got tested or whatever. We don't socialize with anybody. We're rude. No, and we're not close with them or anything. We haven't seen anybody, so we didn't feel like it was necessary to do so. But, you know, at the same time, you just kind of keep your distance from everybody. So I had 2 nieces who had a birthday on Monday, on the 13th. I've been meaning to get pictures, but since we social distanced, I couldn't. It was late when we dropped off their birthday presents. And so let me start at the beginning of that statement. My niece turned 7 on Monday, and she has been asking me for a purple scarf for the last year and some change, and I knit it. You guys have probably seen it. It was an FO in another episode. I'll see if I can find a picture of it here. Or at least a screen grab or something. I don't know. Anyway, I blocked it. Jesus, Sarah. I blocked it and I gave it to her, but it was dark, and so I didn't get a good picture of it with her. And I meant to photograph it prior to leaving, but I put it off until the last minute because that's who I am. And she really liked it. You know, she really had a good time with it, or she really enjoyed it, was very appreciative of it, so that was a lot of fun. My other niece was at gymnastics when we dropped off hers. Her gym has very limited access right now, so she's been doing that, which has been good for her. You know, she's gotten to get out of the house a little bit and back into her routine. And yeah, other than that, we're just kind of trying to keep our heads above water. We're trying to tread water, I guess, over here. You know, a lot of companies out here are facing layoffs again because the state can't figure out what it's going to do, and the world is still... we are trying to open back up, but the rest of the world is not. So the business isn't coming in. So basically you just have all of these shops and businesses and whatever who are open, but they're not having the money flow. Does that make sense? So it's like kind of they're open for no real reason, I guess. So we'll see what everybody does and what they're gonna have happen. We are I don't normally talk about COVID during an episode if you're new, so don't feel like every time you come back I'm gonna give you this big long litany of everything that's going wrong. It just seems to be a little bit heavier this week, I guess, and I don't feel that it is right to sugarcoat that and make it seem like it's not happening, because it definitely is happening. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go because I'm tired and I don't know. I don't want to talk about COVID anymore. But at the same time, I don't have anything else to talk about. You know, it's really frustrating. So I guess I should go get Mr. Giggles to do some school. And I guess I should kind of try to get this edited before my husband comes home, or I don't know. Whatever. I'll get to it. Anyway, I will see you when I see you, which will hopefully be next week, maybe with a finished object. Keep fingers crossed for me, okay? I hope you guys are having a great day and a great week, and I hope that COVID isn't stressing you out too badly. So yeah, I'll see you soon.